You ready?
Always ready.
Three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Criterium du Dauphine preview. My name is Jesper Anker, and I'm joined by my good pal David Hunter. How are you?
Brilliant.
Good to hear, man. We got a small vacation after the Giro d'Italia, but now we're right back into things. We're going to start off with what some call a mini Tour de France. This is the last big, really obstacle before the Tour, the Criterium du Dauphine. Last year was probably the last chance or first big chance Van Garderen got at the European victory. Could he ever get one again?
Well, maybe the Tour de Suisse against an inferior field. It was close last year.
That's a good race.
That was heartbreak. Froome he just did him over on that final stage, didn't he? It was a really good race. Buhani dominated the early sprints, and then Froome just turned the heat up too much for Van Garderen on the final stage. But it was tremendous racing.
It's called the European curse for TJ Van Garderen. It's kind of funny that he's not been able to win on European ground yet, but I mean, knowing Americans, it's probably gonna take a while for him to take a victory here. But the Dauphiné this year, I mean, when the stages or the profiles were published by the ASO, that prologue, it wreaks so much havoc in like social media channels. It is so hard. It's like, I think Christoph said yesterday that it was the hardest climb that he's ever climbed, and Degenkolb said it'd be faster to walk up it than actually bike up the climb. What is in store for these climbers tomorrow, and even sprinters that have to get up this climb?
Well, 4K, 10%, which includes two relatively flat sections. Final kilometre is about 15%. So it's just hellish. Good news for the sprinters is there's no time limit tomorrow, so you might actually see some of them walk up some of the sections, take a picnic, just chill. It's going to be nice for them. It is brutal. I don't remember a prologue ever being like this. I love it. Short and steep climbs are my favourite, and this is just proper racing from the start.
This is mean. Like, this is... There's never been a pro like this. I can't even remember a last mountain prologue. Have you watched the mountain prologue?
Struggling to remember ever seeing something like this.
No, this is really, really cruel. And so, who does this fit? Like, out of the GC guys? Because that's probably what we're looking at. We're looking at a real climber to take this, like a contado or Froome.
Your favourites for GC are going to be your favourites for this stage, but also being small and light is a major benefit going up a 15% climb, so GC riders who are small and light, like Rodriguez, would have a better chance than normal. However, it is a true test of climbing ability. So Froome, Contador, Aru, Pinot, Adam Yates.
What would the gaps be on a climb like this?
Between the big riders, we could be talking anywhere up to a minute.
Over 4 kilometers?
Yeah, it's brutal, absolutely brutal. So I would expect some of the, like a rider, say like Daniel Navarro, somebody like that. I would expect him to lose potentially a minute to the whoever wins this stage.
It's exciting. See, for the star section later on, David forced me to make a change as we got the rules here, and we're going to be obeying the rules. That is, the 1-star rider has to be 100-1 or above. And see, there's something about this that screams Julian Alaphilippe to me. It's a 4-kilometer prologue. It does go up by quite a lot, but Julian Alaphilippe has really shown that he can do pretty much everything, and it's a short but very hard power effort. And I think that Julian Alaphilippe actually can pull something out here. Like, for him to go top 10, also Louis Verwerke, who's, I think it was in Romandy, he finished 8th in a long time trial.
And the weather's going to play a big part tomorrow. There is a chance of thunderstorms. Nobody seems 100% certain when it's going to be. It looks like it could be for the later starters. So we have the unique situation of Chris Froome starting 2 hours before Contador.
Before TV images, even. Like, he starts an hour before TV images.
And Froome is reigning champion, so, etiquette suggests that he would go out last man, which Walt poses as being the sacrificial lamb for Team Sky to go out last.
ASO will be pissed, by the way. Because everyone wants to tune in to see Chris Froome go over the finishing line, but instead they have to show like the highlight montage they always do when they say, this is what you missed so far.
Yeah, so the start times are very interesting. Yates goes out early, Alaphilippe goes out early, Froome Kwiatkowski. Some of the big riders are going out very, very early. Contador, Port are still going out at the end. So we will wait to see if somebody gets it right or if somebody gets it wrong in terms of the weather.
What if it rains? How much does grip really come into matter when you're up against 10% gradients?
If it rains, then the people who get the dry conditions will just have a better time. Simple as that. And if it rains, it's going to rain heavy as well. It's thunderstorms have been predicted, so it won't just be light drizzle. It will be proper hard rain.
Well, it's not the best weather in France at the moment. I believe they also have floods as well. So yeah. I mean, if they were so unlucky for that to drift over to the Dauphine area, that would make for some stellar watching for us.
Certainly would, but it'll be fascinating to see what happens with potential winners going out all day long, not just at the end like we normally see. So it'll be one of those ones where you've got to get on your phone and stay on Twitter for most of the morning before the TV starts.
Who would be your Roglic of this time trial?
My what?
Roglic.
Oh, my Roglic.
Yeah.
I
don't think the guy who comes out and surprises everyone.
I don't think there's going to be a massive surprise. I like your thoughts of Alaphilippe because he's small and he's light. I'll throw another one in there. It's not a massive surprise, but I would say Michael Kwiatkowski.
It is also a 7-day stage race. It does suit Kwiatkowski, and this guy's got several options they can go for at this race. What about a Mikel Landa? Like, he should be carrying that third week form that he never got to use in the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, we just don't know how long he was off his bike for with his stomach problems. He should be fine. Sky have a ridiculously strong team. Like, insanely strong team here. So Sky are going to dominate the race, but let's see what happens in the prologue first.
If you had to put a niggle on a name that would have to win this prologue, who would that be?
Kwiatkowski.
I'd say Contador. I just have a feeling he's going to be flying up this, and he's going to be the guy who's going to take Stage 1 victory and perhaps even keep the jersey all the way through, but we'll see when we get to the predictions. Stage 2, sprinters.
Stage 1.
Stage...
Every time, Jesper. Every time.
Funny thing is, I even went outside, I was like, Jesper, remember, prologue stage 1, prologue stage 1. And then everything is like snap. It's kind of become tradition nowadays.
Yeah.
Stage 1, sprinter. We got a limited but still strong sprinters field with some good lead-out trains.
Yeah, we've got Christoph, we've got Buhani, we've got Bennett, we've got Degenkolb, Bosenhagen, Edward Dunes, Samuel Dumoulin, who started winning. Jesus Christ, Samuel Dumoulin started winning again. So we have Jens de Boucher, Moreno Hofland after his very disappointing Giro, Jonas van Genekten. We've got quite a lot of sprinters. However, looking at the quality of those riders, we're thinking Christoph, Buhani, Tunes, Bennett. Degenkolb might still be a little bit short. I know he finished 5th in the final stage, I think, in California, which was a good sign for him, but he might just still be a little bit off. But Giant are sending a good lead-out train to help him.
I see my webcam is messing up again. It's really annoying. Can you please come back now? Let me try and turn off my webcam and turn it on again. But yeah, also one guy I would like to mention because I did commentary for Norway and I completely fell in love with Sander Holstinger of I Am Cycling. I know that there's not... His kind of sprint is going to be an uphill sprint with a few bumps in the road, but still, Sander Holstinger has got a good shot at doing something here, in my opinion. Because the field is so...
Might, but I don't know if you'll get the nod as the sprinter from I Am. That's the only problem, because you've got Van Genekten in there as well, so we'll have to see who gets the nod. Although there is an uphill sprint. That's an interesting noise, Jesper.
Is that on my end?
That's on your end. I think you're getting killed by...
What is this? I thought it was your new ringtone. No. I do not know what this is. I hear it too. I guess we'll just ignore that. I've never had that before.
Carry on. I
honestly thought that was your new ringtone. But looking at this, the strongest lead out, who would that be?
Christoph, Katusha. I know Cofidis have the number one kind of lead out here, but in all honesty, they have been a bit shit this season. Buhani's taken a couple of wins, but they've not really got it right. He's lost a number of races to smaller riders. Christoph has Garnieri.
What is this? Why are you weird?
I don't know. He's got Garnieri. He's got, let me just double check the roster, as his final lead out man, and he always has him. He's got Hala, and he has Michael Moorcock. So straight away there, he's got a 3-man train that's going to be very, very hard to beat.
I'm just mesmerized. I'm sorry for my lack of professionalism, but if this keeps going, I need to take a break. But yeah, by far Katusha's got the strongest leader train, but as you mentioned, Nasser Bohani, there's something about him this year where he's been given the opportunity, like he's been in prime position, and he just kind of lacks the final punch to take the stage victory. But when push comes to shove, Bohani does win. And I actually think he's got the best shot at taking a few stages here in the Dauphine.
He likes the Dauphiné. He took 2 stages here last year, but last year he was up against basically nobody. This year he's up against some proper fast men like Christophe. Really interesting to see how Edward Theuns goes. I'm looking for him to get the nod as the #1 sprinter at Trek. They need to get some balls and decide on who their sprinter is, because Bonifacio's there as well. We don't want the shambles which happened in Chelles du Prix, where they said they would decide on the road and they ended up sprinting against each other. They need to decide before the race who the sprinter is, and it should most certainly be our good friend from Belgium.
Hoping for it too. He would have won 2 stages at the Tour of Belgium if he hadn't crashed in the very final corner of the very final stage. I was heartbroken, and so was Edward Theuns, but he did take a very big stage win that you can actually hear my commentary on that, and so that was a livid commentary. I've never screamed so hard in my life. That was a good win by Edward Theuns. Stage 2. First mountain stage.
Yep.
That final climb is actually about 21 kilometers, I believe. But it's separated in 2 different climbs. How tough is this stage?
Not that tough. I know it's a lengthy climb to finish, but it's not too difficult. The Cat 2 section of it is 7.5 kilometers at 5.6%, but it's a very steady kind of 5% almost all the way up it, which is not that hard for any kind of top rider. Then we have a long section of flat before we have the final 6.8 kilometers at 3.7%. So it's not the most challenging climb you'll ever see in the world, and it should certainly be a day for the punchers.
We're going to take a break, guys, because I'm going to figure out what this is. This is annoying me. Be right back. And you guys can hear us again. Hopefully we've fixed it. And we're back here with stage 3, where we left off, where we said, David just talked about the gradients on the final climb. It's not that difficult, is it? Like, what are the odds of a guy like Ebba Bosenhagen coming over this climb and getting to the finishing line?
Good, very good. A Bosenhagen, a Greg Van Avermaet, that type of rider, it really does look like a puncheur's day. I don't think it's a GC day. It's just not hard enough. And if it's not hard enough, the GC teams won't go crazy. They will go relatively slow on the climb, and Bosenhagen, Van Avermaet, Alaphilippe, Gasparotto, riders like that have a tremendous chance on this stage.
I'm just thinking back to the stage in Norway, where Ebba Bosenhagen just got beat by Peter Weening on that climb, where he was climbing really, really well. So he's probably the guy that I would look out for in a stage like this. He's also shown it in Oman earlier this year that he's really, really strong. And also on that team, Sergio Powell's. I mean, I know he likes a steeper climb, but to see him go early would definitely be a possibility. How about some of the GC guys that are fast? Dan Martin?
I just don't... If these guys who we're talking about survive to the end, and the GC riders don't have much of a chance unless they try and get away with like a kilometre to go or 2 kilometres to go, but they'll be heavily mapped by the other GC riders. So I do really think it's a puncher day, not a GC rider day at all.
Who would you say is the strongest puncher in this race?
Gasparotto has been going very well of late, but I would have to go with Bosenhagen in here. It looks like a stage that's good for him. All the riders are flying just now. This is final preparation for the Tour. The vast majority of the peloton have been away at altitude. They're all, on really good form. So I don't see many of the bigger riders getting dropped here.
Moving on. This stage, it might look on paper that it could go to one of the punchers, like the previous stage, but that category 2 at the very end is very deceiving. Talk us through the gradients of that climb.
Cat 2 is 2.9 kilometres at 8.2%. It crests with 22 kilometres to go, but crucially, it does rise after the KOM point. The KOM point is not the end of the climb. It does go up for a little bit more. It's on the edge. Some sprinters will fancy their chances of making it. 22 Ks to go. who's going to go crazy on it. It could have a breakaway. We could be talking somebody like Steve Cummings, that type of rider. However, he does like to go much later in the stage, almost in the last kilometre. Bosenhagen, Van Avermaet, the same riders we just mentioned for the previous stage. Bouhanni does go well on climbs in France.
Especially when he gets pushed by his teammates.
Yeah. Edward Toons is a good climber. Bonifacio on his team is also a good climber. Christoph can go over climbs as well. So that's one of the stages we will just have to wait and see what happens on that final climb. There is no guarantee that all the sprinters will be dropped.
Also, if it turns out to be really hard, Abakim Mollema, who's actually won a stage very similar to this in the Vuelta a España, would be a name to consider from Trek Segafredo.
I mean, anytime you get a reduced peloton going into the end of the stage, you know it's a late attack can succeed. However, Mollema might suffer from being a bit kind of heavily marked as a GC favourite. So we'll have to see. Another good day for a Bosenhagen or a Van Avermaet.
An exciting day to watch. All the days here at the Criterium du Dauphine are going to be great watching, and you know you can watch them right here on Cycling Hub TV. Another sprint stage here at the Dauphine. How are the shares going to be spoiled? Is it going to be close? Is it going to be Bouhanni and Christoph being first and second on both stages, or could we see others get up there and mess with the best?
I think we'll see others get up there. Crucially on this stage, it's an uphill sprint, 2.5%, which basically just guarantees Christoph's going to win. Looking at the other riders, Gerrans could compete on a stage like this. So could Samuel Dumoulin, so could Jens de Boucher, Edward Toons, the same riders we've mentioned. I don't see it being the same guys go 1, 2, 3 on the sprint stages. I think there's enough quality here. There's enough good lead-out trains here for some different names to appear. Degenkolb, if he's going well, would love a stage like this. This is, 2.5% uphill sprint is ideal for the big German. And after all his troubles this season, I think everybody, no matter who your favourite rider is, would be cheering on Degenkolb for this stage.
He was riding over in the Amgen Tour of California, where he was getting like 5th and 8th in a couple of sprint stages, and just seeing him up there again put a smile on all our faces, I'm sure of that. He's a great guy, and it'll be fun to see him at the top of the podium. He was severely missed in this year's Cobble Classics campaign, but he'll be back next year stronger than ever. The next stage, we got last couple of stages of tough mountains, and we're going to lead it in here with a lot of classified climbs with a category 2 in the end.
A lot of climbs early in the stage. They've gone for short stages, which is great fun for us to watch. We love some short stages. So this is only 140 kilometres, but they have a number of categorised climbs to go over. The final climb is only a Cat 2, 6.4 kilometres at 6.5%, but it does have a 9.8% first kilometre, and then the penultimate kilometre itself is 9.4%. So easy in the middle, very hard at the beginning and end. So although it's a Cat 2, there will be some gaps between the GC favourites because of that penultimate kilometre, not far off 10%. So that's going to be a good GC day. Depending on time gaps, it could also be a very good day for a breakaway.
It could be like we saw in the Giro d'Italia, where there are going to be 2 stages in one. That was kind of the only bad thing to say about this year's Giro d'Italia, is that too many stages went to the breakaway. I mean, it was fun to watch to begin with, but in the end it got kind of boring. We could see something very similar here, where there are a lot of lesser good climbers in this race that could go in the breakaway, take up all the KOM points, and then go on for the victory. And then I'd expect a guy like Alberto Contador to try and gain some time. Especially that final sector on the Cat 2 climb suits El Pistolero very well. Looking at this though, what do you think? Breakaway or GC for victory?
I think GC. I think what we had at the Giro was teams who were in the pink jersey, weak teams, not disrespecting the teams, but teams who didn't have quality throughout. You'll have here the yellow jersey from a strong team, a Sky or a Tinkoff, and Sky are renowned for not really enjoying big breakaway days, so they'll put the brakes on any type of break. I would imagine we'll have possibly 1 breakaway stage of the Dauphiné, maybe 2 at a push, not kind of what we had at the Giro, which was breakaway every day.
But if you take the next 2 stages into account, then this stage could be a day where they say, we're just going to relax, we're going to save, because on the day after this, you got the Col de Madeleine, and then you got a very tough finish. Speaking of that, why is the Col de Madeleine used in the middle of the stage like this? For me, I feel like that's a shame. What do you think?
Same. We had Vaughan too early in the Paris as well, which is a shame. But they like to spread out their finishing towns. So yeah, okay. Cold Madeleine in the middle kind of nullifies any of its real threat. However, you can never say that when Alberto Contador's because just when you relax, off he goes. Very, very demanding day. One HC climb, we have 3 Cat 1s, we have a Cat 2, we end with 12.3 kilometres at 6.6%. That's a proper day in the mountains, and it's only 140 kilometres, so another very short, action-packed stage.
It's a day where perhaps the breakaway doesn't even go away, because when you start, the race starts with a category 1 and a category 2, and it's going to be so fast-paced racing that I even doubt we're going to see a breakaway in this stage, and it's just going to be paced down all the way through. And this is where a guy like Contador shines. He's not scared of taking risks, as you mentioned before. Seeing him attack on Madeleine would be awesome. He's also just confirmed that this year is not his final year in the saddle. He's taking another year. Surprise. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chris Froome, Contador, and the rest of the contenders play throughout this. Then we got stage 8, the final stage, and the Dauphine's got kind of a, the final stage in 2014 goes down as one of the best final stages of a stage race ever in my book, where we saw a lot of the guys further down the GC attack Contador and Froome, and it turned out to completely shake up the GC. What are the odds of that happening here at the final stage of the Dauphiné this year?
Could happen. It could happen, but I think having such a difficult prologue is really going to define the GC order from day one, and it will remain much the same all the way through, I would imagine. This is another hard day. It's not as hard as the previous day. The Cat 1 climb, the first one comes after 100k. It's 150 kilometres in total. Col de Noyer is the penultimate climb. That is a very demanding Cat 1 climb, 7.5 kilometres, 8.4%. Then we descend down, and then we have the finish up to Super Develu at 3.8 kilometres, 5.9%. So it's not the hardest finish, which we've seen in the Giro this year as well, and in the previous year, where you have your big climb, then a descent, and then a relatively straightforward climb, but legs are gone by that point, and it's still very hard. So fireworks will be on the Noyer that day, and we will see what size of bunch we have coming up to the final climb. It won't be very big.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move on to the prediction part of this preview, the one you've always been waiting for, the star section. So let's get going with that. How about you start, David, with your 1-star riders for the GC?
Okay, so as we've already mentioned, they have to be 100 to 1 or bigger for our 1-star riders. So no annoying little people sending messages in later on saying, "Oh, you never mentioned this guy." So that's the
criteria. Well, now they're just going to do it. When you tell people not to do it, they just do it anyway.
It's the criteria, and that's what we're sticking to. So 1-star riders for me will be Sebastian Reichenbach of FDJ, 200 to 1 when I checked earlier today. Spoke to him a couple of days ago. Training has been good. Obviously riding for Pinot, so something would have to happen to Pinot for Reichenbach to be given some freedom. Has been excellent this season, really stepped up. His move to FDJ has been a very successful one. Tony Galopin, 150 to 1, the classy Frenchman. Very, very strong in the Tour de France last season, just fell out towards the very end of it. These climbs are hard, but not brutal. Galopin, if he's on form, could survive a long, long way into this race. And last one, former winner of Tour de l'Avenir, Ruben Fernandez of Movistar. Danny Moreno is their team leader. Not the strongest team leader in my opinion. Fernandez is a very, very good rider, and I would expect him to have a good race, kind of top 15, top 10.
Well, I'll start off with Sebastian Reichenbach, because he was actually my replacement for Julian Alaphilippe, who was forced to move out, so we're thinking the same on that one. Julian Alaphilippe is only 50 to 1, so sorry, he doesn't meet the requirements, but I have a feeling that Julian Alaphilippe could go very well in this year's Dauphiné. Louis Ververke, I've got a small celebrity crush on Louis Ververke. He's such a good talent, such a big talent. He's 100 to 1 right now, so he just meets the bare minimum. He's got a good chance of doing something well here. I think that he's gonna actually be one of the surprises of the Dauphiné, if you can actually classify him as that, finishing top 10, I would say. And then the real long shot, Patrick Conrad, of Bora Argon 18. He climbed well in the Giro del Trentino earlier this year. One of the Bora Argon boys, Emmanuel Bookman or Patrick Conrad, are going to do very well. And my money would be on Patrick Conrad, who's got a bright future ahead of him. 2-star riders.
Boring, really boring here. I'm sorry, apologies to everybody. Port, Aru, Landa.
What? Yeah, I'm just looking at my list and I wrote the same down, so we're boring together.
Port should do okay, lacks consistency, can never safely say he's going to do well. His season has been inconsistent, stopped by injury. He's had a couple of good performances. He gets the nod to come here in front of Van Garderen, which for me is the wrong decision. He should be away and Van Garderen should be here. Prologue looks good for him. Climbs look okay. Comes with a strong team. Port, if he really wants to contend in the Tour, has to do something here. Aru has had I was going to say disastrous season. It's not quite that bad, but he hasn't shown at all yet this season. But he is riding the Tour as a GC contender for the first time, so he's possibly favouring the Vincenzo Nibali approach to riding the Tour de France. And then Landa, we just don't know what we're going to get from Landa. Has he recovered? Being the second best rider on the strongest team can often be a brilliant position to be in, because you're the rider that goes up the road and attacks, and the other ones sometimes decide not to chase. So those are my 2 stars.
Yeah, I have to fully agree with you, because I got the same 3 names on my list. Landa is the one that really, it's the make or break picks for many out there, because we're either going to get the Landa that was supposed to shine in the 3rd week of the Giro d'Italia, or we're going to get the one that's got the stomach bug. So, but I think that it's not always Chris Froome that leads Team Sky, even though he's there as a captain. They've got so many good options. Even a Wouter Poels could actually do something for Team Sky, so look out for that. Aru and Port, self-explanatory on why you should have them on your list. 3 stars. Do we have the same again?
Froome, Contador,
Worse?
Pinot.
Alright. What are the odds? You take 2 and I'll take 1, and explain why.
Let me take Pinot. Love him. I love him like the wine. What an amazing season he's had. So consistent. FDJ have backed him by bringing in riders like Reichenbach, and he's really stepped up to the mark. Very strong in Romandy. He is, I'm really excited for him for the Tour. I hope he can do something special this year. Can he go and win it? First French winner for an awful long time. That will be hard, but this is the type of race that I think he can actually go on and win. Prologue should be good for him. He'll have support in the mountains. Yeah, I really hope Pinot can do something. I think he's on the cusp of something big. Froome, I'll go with Froome. I'll leave you with Contador. I know you like him.
How kind of you.
Froome needs to deliver. He's not had many race days yet this season. He's only had 19 race days, which was the same as what he had last season at this point. So no kind of great surprise there. He's had a bit of bad luck. In Romandy, he was dropped because of a mechanical, but then he didn't go deep enough to rejoin the peloton. And you would have imagined he would have rejoined the peloton. He made up for it with a good time trial and a fairly epic stage win. But he's not really delivered yet this season big results like he has in previous years. And he's had a couple of disappointments in there as well. So for the first time in a long time, pressure is actually on Chris Froome. And when the pressure's on Chris Froome,
he delivers.
He not really delivers, yeah. So
exactly.
Froome needs a big result here, because he doesn't want to go to the Tour with another disappointment, because tongues will be wagging and there'll be even more pressure on him. And even talk of riders like Geraint Thomas or Mika Wanda challenging his right to be captain. So Froome, pressure's on. That usually means big performance.
Well, technically it's Sir Chris Froome now, isn't it? I think he got his OBE, so I'm not sure if that makes you Sir Chris Froome, not an expert in...
Doesn't make you a Sir. He can't be a Sir because he wasn't born in England or Britain.
See, I was mistaken, guys. I just saw he got the same award that the Wiggins got, and I just made the connection, but no. I don't know anything, guys. Alberto Contador. The number 1 sign of Contador doing well at the race is when he goes out saying, I'm not really focusing on this race, I got my eyes down the road, the Tour de France is coming up next. That's when Alberto Contador hits his enemies hard. Alberto Contador, together with Froome, possibly the 2 best climbers here by far. If we could do 4 to 5 star sections, they would be placed above all else. And Contador and Froome, if you go back, I think it was also Criterium du Dauphine 2014, where stage 2 and stage 3 were just those 2 going after each other. And they are the only 2 that could mark each other out of this entire peloton. And the winner will be either Froome or Contador, most likely. And Contador, his riding style just makes you wanna pick him as your captain, as your favorite. I mean, if you it was Paris-Nice earlier this year where he was actually crying on the podium because he finished second behind Geraint Thomas. That guy Contador's got the willpower to do something, and that's all that matters. Like, one thing we haven't touched upon yet, form does matter at the Dauphiné. Because you might see all these great riders here at the Dauphiné, but some of them are peaking for the third week of the Tour de France, and so they might disappoint here. Which of these guys are most likely to disappoint, do you think, David?
I don't know about that. Sky have shown that it is possible to win this race and win the Tour. I mean, they've done it 4 times. So Sky have, they broke the mould in that you can't win the Dauphiné and go on to win the Tour. We do have 3 weeks in between, so we've got long enough for you to rest if you look after yourself properly, and then straight back in at a high level almost instantly at the Tour, which we've seen before with Froome and maybe to a lesser extent Wiggins. So I don't see riders going to be kind of lacking form at this point. I think you go in flying, you have a very strong week, and then you go on again. We don't really have a Vincenzo Nibali type. If I was going to pick one, I would have to go Aru as a rider who potentially could disappoint here because he has already disappointed this season.
Port, I would add to that list too. Port is the sort of rider that he either excels or he's just gone. So
yeah, you wouldn't happily house on either Port or Aru to finish on the podium here.
You would not. On that note, it's time to make a prediction. Who are you going with to take the overall here at the Dauphiné?
Strongest team, strongest rider, Chris Froome.
I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to pick the rival, El Pistolero. That's who I think is going to win this one. Who do you guys think is going to win? Put it in the comment section, put it in the chat, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it on Reddit, and we'll see who's the smartest out of all the social media networks. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a joy previewing the Criterium du Dauphine. Tomorrow, the Prologue is going to be live. It's going to be live really early in the day. I think it's live at around 1 p.m. CEST. So if you're in the United States, get up early, make a cup of coffee, and enjoy the monstrosity of a Prologue that's awaiting us. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later.